This is Judy Ann Scheidler, and I'd like to welcome you back to At Home in Bethel Park. Today we have with us a bug expert, Mr. John Sokolowski from Steel City Pests. Hi, John. Welcome to At Home in Bethel Park. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for asking me.
Busy time of year for you?
Extremely busy.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking time to come visit us today and talk a little bit about these buggers that are going to chew away at our houses if we do not stop them.
Yes.
How long have you been in business?
Since 1991.
Wow. So 20 years in business.
Yes.
Alltech, my business, has been in business for 20 years too. So that's quite a record. I'm very proud of it, and I'm sure you're very proud of that record as well.
Yes.
That's it. Working for yourself every day. You get up. I like to say you wake up unemployed every single day.
Isn't that the truth?
It is. And every single day, your own determination drives your business.
Sure.
So how is business?
Business is excellent, thank you. I enjoy the pest industry. I enjoy meeting people. So.
Good. So let's talk a little bit about bugs. We have a couple different types of bugs that are going to munch away on our houses if we are not careful. Can you tell us a little bit about what they are? And let's start with termites, because everybody knows about termites. What is a termite?
Termite is a subterranean creature. They have just basically finished the swarm season. They look
What's
like
the swarm season?
Swarm season happens in the springtime whenever the colony is looking to expand. And what they'll do is they'll swarm, and it's usually a very nice day in the springtime after a rainstorm. That usually starts at about the beginning of March and usually ends about the beginning of May. And what they're doing is they're looking to expand the colony. And they look like flying ants.
They look like flying ants.
Yes.
With clear wings?
Yes, they have 4 clear wings of equal shape.
4.
Yes.
Okay. So they're swarming and inside or outside, or both?
It could be either or.
Oh. Okay. So if you look outside and you see like this bug swarming thing going on, does that tell you that you have an outside problem, an inside problem, or maybe both?
It could be both.
Okay.
One of the true telltales to sign that if you have a problem is if you see it swarm and it's close to the house, then you probably want to have somebody like myself look at the problem.
Are they going to just swarm once, or is it going to be like a couple times? Will you see them more than once? I mean, or do you like have to be there and see them and then, okay, there they are? Or do you get like a couple?
Sometimes you'll get a couple. Sometimes I use the references. It looks like a scene from Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds.
Another horror movie.
Yes. And it can be very traumatic.
Oh, so it's a black, dense cloud.
It very well could be, yes.
Ooh. Okay, so first of all, if I saw that, I probably would freak. But after I freaked, should I go in my house and look for something? Or what if they are in my house? What do I do?
If they're in your house, you have to put that problem in the hands of a professional.
Okay.
That's not something that the average homeowner can take care of on their own.
When they're inside the house, are there other things that you would look for inside the house?
You would look for the insects themselves,
okay,
if they did swarm on the inside of the house. You would also look around window frames and door frames, because when they're swarming, they're attracted to light. So I would look around door frames and window frames.
Sorry.
And take it from there.
So if you leave your windows, like your blinds, draw your drapes or your blinds, if you think you have a termite problem, but you're not sure, would this be a way to draw them out so you could see if they're there?
Not necessarily.
No. Oh, okay. So if you think you have a problem, what are you going to do? How do you know? What do you look for besides this massive swarm if you happen to miss it?
Well, you look for signs like mud tunnels.
What is a mud tunnel?
A mud tunnel is a very it's designed to, it's a travel road for the termites. The termites that cause the damage are not the swarmers. It's the ones that you cannot see, the workers. The workers look like white larvae. And what they'll do is they will build these mud tunnels, and they'll build it from the soil, from beneath the house. and it protects them from light, heat, and humidity because they're very sensitive to all the above. So you look for signs of mud tunnels. You'd look for signs of possibly a floor bowing, damage to the joists. But by that point, if you've gotten damage to your structure itself, by that point you've probably seen a swarm.
You probably have.
Yes.
And maybe just didn't know what you were looking at.
Exactly. A lot of times people mistake flying ants, termites for flying ants. And if they only swarm once inside of a house, they figure they've sprayed some Raid or something else over the counter on them, and they don't see them again. They figure they corrected the problem.
These ones that are flying, what if the larvae are the ones that I've seen pictures. They're gross. You know, the curling larvae in the support post.
Yes.
Oh, please. But if the larvae are the workers, the worm things are the workers,
Yes.
what's the point of the swarming ones?
Well, what they're doing is they're looking to expand the colony. One will be a king, one will be a queen. And what they'll do is they swarm and they'll pry their wings off, burrow back down into the ground. One will be a king, one will be a queen, and they're looking to expand the colony.
Ick.
Now the thing that...
And this can be going on in your house, and
Yes.
you don't even know it.
Exactly.
When you go to treat for termites, usually by the time you get this phone call, I mean, if I were making this phone call, I'd be like, I'd be like freaking out. I'd be
Sure.
packing and moving.
Most people do.
Yeah. What do you do when you show up there?
First of all, whenever I pull up to a home, my inspection starts immediately.
Okay.
I look, and I can more or less tell by looking at the home where the problem is at. That's from doing this for so long.
20 years, right?
Yes. At that point, I go in, I talk to the homeowner, try to calm the homeowner down, which sometimes takes a while.
Yeah.
You know, nobody likes that sort of scene in their home, myself included. And then I'll inspect the house, and then I'll look at the best plan of attack, how we can correct the problem.
I recall that they used to have a system where they would drill holes around the foundation and pour chemicals into it, and that would act as like some sort of barrier to prevent them
correct.
from coming into the house. What if they're already in the house?
Well, that does work, and it's still used today, but today we have many tools in our arsenal to correct the problem. At that point, yes, soil poisoning, you know, around the outside of the house. Sometimes wood poisoning, it's poisoning the soil beneath of the house. The best way that we could treat a house would be to pick the entire house up and treat the soil beneath of it. Since that's not possible, what we need to do is to go through the house to get to the soil beneath of it, and that's where your drilling comes in.
Okay. In some houses, and I just have 6,000 questions I'm going to ask you and get back to them, but in some houses I see the little black circles, the something con guarding
Centricon.
Centricon,
Yes.
thank you. Is that a commercial, is that a brand name, or is that something that all or pest inspectors are able to get a hold of?
No. Centricon, I don't know if Centricon's still available.
Oh, okay.
To be honest with you.
I always saw them kicked up in the yards, and I always wondered if it was still working.
I'm not a fan of the baits, and I just like to drop it at that.
Okay, we can drop it at that. Enough said. So if we're in the house and we're treating the house, do you have the chemicals that you use? I know that they have to be strong to get rid of these bugs. Nobody wants them in their house, and you know your bank doesn't want them there. You can't sell a house that has termites. The bank won't write a mortgage on it because it's not going to insure something that a bug's going to eat. Do you have products that are? My daughter has a sensitivity to these types of things, so she's on a special list. But there's a lot of people on this list, and they can't spray in the neighborhood if she's around. They have to give us 48 hours notice, that kind of thing. Certain companies now have environmentally friendly and non-toxic to human sprays. Are they as effective? Do you have them available to you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All of the materials that we have available today are safe for humans.
Okay.
Most of the people that are
What
on
about pets?
Oh yes, without
Okay.
a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Good. Good.
Yes, I'm a big dog lover.
Yeah.
But getting back to the point, the materials that we have available today are all biodegradable, which means that they are all, they must break down, not like the old days that where a lot of the homes that were treated with chloridane and things of that nature. The chloridane is still there. Chloridane will leach. It'll reactivate itself. The materials that we have available today are environmentally friendly, and they are very, very productive. They're very good, materials to use out there. We have a wide variety of things at our disposal.
Good. And the industry has moved from that area where it was kind of all toxic chemicals, and
Yes.
if you go near this, everybody's going to die.
Yes.
To a place where it's safe in our homes, because that's a big concern for people.
Sure.
We have children, pets, and everything else, and as much as we don't want the bugs, feeling like we're bringing something into the home that's going to be a problem is really. It's nice to know that there's no alternatives. How long does a treatment last? Let's say you got called to go to do a treatment on a house, and there may have even been structural damage. You had to do a pretty extensive treatment. Do you go and do a follow-up treatment, or is it going to last for a while? Or
Sometimes follow-up treatments are necessary.
okay,
The reason being is when you're doing termite work, you're working underground.
Right.
You don't know exactly where your materials are going. With the materials that we have available today, you must be very thorough. And if you're not completely thorough, what happens is a lot of times there'll be a breach in the barrier that we're trying to establish underneath of a house. And at that point, then sometimes reinfestation could take place, and then more treatment would be needed.
Now, you talk about a breach in the defense. Homes that have water penetration below the ground into their basements, garage areas, they're more susceptible to these wood-boring insects?
Water penetration meaning what?
Like moisture coming from the outside of the house into the inside of the house through the sill plate or through the foundation walls?
Sure. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because if you have too much water coming into a home, it actually creates a hostile environment for insects.
Okay.
So they can't live in it.
Oh, okay. I had always thought that if you had a wet basement, you might be more susceptible to having this type of insect problem.
In some cases, yes, but excessively wet, no.
Why is it we have these older houses in Pittsburgh with like the locust posts? Those things never get eaten by bugs.
Sure they do.
Oh, well, I've never.
Sure
They
do.
seem impenetrable.
I inspected a home yesterday that was pretty well destroyed.
Really?
The locust posts.
Wow, then that had to have been going on for quite a while.
Yes.
Because those things have been there for 100 years.
The termites actually reached the third floor of the house.
Oh my God.
So that's quite a bad infestation.
Yeah, and then how do you even know what's going on behind the plaster walls? And
You don't.
the wood lathe, a lot of those older homes have a wood lathe system behind the plaster. That
Yes.
all, ooh, that's bad. Was this a vacant home?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least nobody was living in it. So we talked about termites, and they are bad news. If you've got termites, you've got to get rid of them, because once they start munching on your house, your bank's going to get really upset. You can't sell the house. Nobody will write a mortgage on it, and you just don't want them hanging around. So you need to call somebody like John to get rid of them. I hate termites. Carpenter ants. I dislike carpenter ants. I had carpenter ants in my house when I first moved in, and it was treated. And I have my house treated every 3 years. I don't care if I don't see one. I don't want to see one ever again. They have like those pinchers on the front.
Yes.
And a couple of them had wings, I think. They were nasty.
Well, once again, though, the carpenter ant colony will start to produce carpenter ant swarmers. And that's after it's been in existence for usually 3 to 5 years. Carpenter ants are actually more destructive to a home than termites.
Are they really?
Yes. See, carpenter ants can destroy wood faster than termites can eat it.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea. And carpenter ants, I was told at the time, keep mulch away from my house, because you bring them to your house when you garden.
A lot of times, yes. I'm not a fan of mulch. I tell people whenever I'm inspecting a home, not to mulch. Mulch is very pretty. It's a very economical way to decorate the outside of your house. But mulch is dead wood. And anytime you have dead wood in constant contact with the ground, you're ringing a dinner bell for termites.
And carpenter ants. Ooh. Well, I haven't put, quite honestly, mulch down around. I use soil mulch, that kind of thing, not the
Sure.
wood mulch. But the carpenter ants worry me because I was told that I need to keep getting my house treated for carpenter ants. It's a different type of a treatment.
Yes, it
or
is.
they will come back.
Yes. Once again, when we go back to being biodegradable, the materials that we use must be safe for not only humans, but for our pets.
Mm-hmm.
These materials are only good for about 90 days, and they'll break down. Severe sun will help to break them down a lot quicker.
Okay, so 90 days would be like the 3 months, May, June, July. Well, I only get my house treated every 3 years. Am I not doing it often enough?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's something that I'm definitely going to look into because
Sure.
I have had carpenter ants. So I know I have had a problem. I have a very wooded backyard, and I have like a little stream back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it could be considered a wetland in some areas. So I get these bugs, and I'm very conscious about maintaining them out of my home. So this is common, though, in Bethel Park. We've got lots of trees and
Oh,
lots
this is
of
common
water.
everywhere.
Oh, it's common everywhere?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's common in the city of Pittsburgh.
So how often do you treat for the carpenter ants?
Usually every 3 months.
So any home in Bethel Park, and there's lots of them, who have had termites should be getting a treatment every 3 months in that home.
No, carpenter ants.
I'm sorry, I meant carpenter ants. I'm sorry. Any home that's had carpenter ants should be getting their treatment every 3 months to get rid of them.
Yes and no. Yes, they should be treated, but they should also have somebody that's coming out that's going to do the inspection on their home, that's going to help them keep their home pest-free.
Okay.
And I mail out a email every week now. It's an informative email that I send out to
I got it this
the
morning.
agents, and it's how to not use my services.
Okay.
And we have tons of business. I mean,
Yeah.
business is good, and I'm not saying that we have too much, but a lot of these things are things that the homeowner themselves can't do to keep their home pest-free.
Okay, so we talked about like keeping the mulch away from the home. What else?
I usually suggest during April, May, this time of the year, for a homeowner to buy an over-the-counter granule product to spread out in 3 to 5 feet around their house in the grass. What this does is this puts a barrier up at this time of the year when the insects are in their mating season, so that you don't have to see me.
Okay.
That helps for people.
And
That
this
helps
is
people keep their home pest free.
this granular product is also environmentally safe and friendly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now a lot of us garden at this time of year. So as soon as we start gardening, we've disrupted this barrier. Is that correct?
Well, we're talking about a barrier on a topical barrier, or we're talking about a subterranean barrier.
The
It
topical.
depends.
We're
Okay.
talking about carpenter ants,
Yes.
not termites.
If you're spreading your granule out far enough, then you're disturbing part of the barrier, but not the complete barrier.
Okay, so it's still safe to continue our gardening and
Sure.
doing what we enjoy. Okay, so getting this over-the-counter product, spreading it out in the 3 to 5 foot, and maybe then just having an inspection every now and again, even
Sure.
if you're not sure you have them, because they're really hard to detect until there's a lot of them.
Sure. Most people don't find out that they have a termite problem until they talk to somebody like you that's selling their home. And then you have somebody like me come in and, people, I don't know how many thousands of times I've heard, well, I've never seen a termite.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to see termites.
Yeah.
You're going to see evidence thereof.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. And the same thing with the carpenter ants. You're not going to see a lot. Well, you see a little powdery substance sometimes.
It's called frass.
Frass?
Yes.
Okay.
It's FRASS. It's a combination of insect parts and wood. And that's a telltale sign that you have a carpenter ant problem.
Okay. We also have a couple other things that we look for in this area called wood boring wasps and powder post beetles, or did I get that backwards? Powder post wasps?
Powder post beetles. You'll find them in some homes that were built before. Don't hold me to this because I may not be accurate.
Okay.
But I want to say 1945 they start fumigating the wood in the lumber mills. Any home usually built after 1945, and I'm not sure if I'm correct with my date, the wood has been fumigated, so you don't have a problem with things like powder post beetles, old house borers, things of that nature.
Oh, okay.
Carpenter bees.
Carpenter bees.
Carpenter
okay.
bees, yes. I affectionately call them Republican bees. Okay.
Okay.
They drill a perfect 5/16 hole into the wood, and they go into the right with the grain. So that's why I call them Republican.
going right.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So they are very destructive. That is something that a homeowner can usually take care of themselves. You can put a trait with 7 dust that's available over the counter.
7 dust?
7, just like the number.
Okay.
Almond oil will always work, and even an over-the-counter pesticide will work. They're very passive insects. So usually if you treat that hole, the entrance hole that they're using, they usually won't bother you. They'll fly around until the point that they can't get in. And then I usually suggest to wait a couple days and then to caulk it. Now the other thing that I want to mention is if somebody's watching this and see carpenter bees somewhere up in the air, leave that for a professional, because bees and ladders do not mix.
Yeah, no. No. No, I would imagine not. I hadn't made that connection, but no, no, they wouldn't mix.
No.
The carpenter bees, do they look different than like other bees that we see?
The carpenter bees are very big. People mistake them a lot of times for big bumblebees. They are very, very big bees.
Oh. Do they look like the big bumblebees? I mean, the same kind of...
The bumblebee's actually smaller.
Oh, okay.
So.
Do they go from flower? Do they do flowers too?
Sure.
I mean, you see them on the flowers. Oh, okay. Well, that's something interesting. I've seen some big bees around my house. I'm neurotic about insects in my house. I really am. I just don't want insects in my house. And speaking of insects in our houses, you may or may not have any help for us here, but stink bugs.
Pray.
Pray. Can we send them back to China? Is there any way we can get rid of these?
Stink bugs have no known enemies.
Yeah.
I understand that they're having pretty good success with the traps. The traps contain a pheromone, which attracts the stink bugs. So I understand that they're having good success with that. If you contact me, I'm more or less going to tell you, look, I can come out and treat, I can knock them down, but there's nothing that I can do that's going to eliminate them. If there was something I could do, a couple days ago I wouldn't have had one on my remote in the morning whenever I was drinking my coffee.
Oh. The only thing I have done is I've taken a quart jug of milk and emptied out the milk and filled it with soapy water, and anytime I see it, I just knock it into this little,
yes.
And because they say flush them, but that really runs up the water bill if you
This
have
is
a
true.
lot of them. Anything that we can spray to kill that odor, or anything that you know of? Because they say that the stink bug leaves a trail, and that's what attracts other stink bugs.
That I'm not sure of.
Okay.
In all honesty, I haven't researched the stink bug for the simple fact of whenever I go for continuing education, they've more or less told us, look, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it.
Oh, that's disheartening. What about woodpeckers?
Woodpeckers. Woodpeckers, you see a lot of times, you'll see them in a house that has carpenter bees. What they're doing is they're actually going in after the carpenter bees. My suggestion is if the homeowner would like to, is to get a glue board. The same glue board that you would use for a rodent. mouse, rat, something of that nature.
A glue board that's like what the mouse walks on or
Exactly,
something?
that's what you're hoping to trap the mouse on.
Okay.
If you secure that to the perch where the woodpecker is perching, their feet will get sticky. And once a bird's feet are sticky, they're usually territorial. They won't come back. They won't come back to that spot.
It won't hurt them, will it?
No.
Okay. So it's not like a mouse. It sucks it
No.
there and it's done.
No, usually the woodpeckers can get off of them.
The woodpecker. So, but you say that if the woodpecker's there, and I have pelleated, I have a nice couple nesting pairs, but they don't come near my house. I have a girlfriend who gets those little woodpeckers, and they peck at her wood trim constantly.
Sure.
You're saying she has
She could have
problem.
a carpenter bee problem.
yeah, because
Yes.
they're going after insects.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a lot of homes in Bethel Park that have a lot of really nice wood trim, wood shingles, and so forth. These people, when they're getting these woodpeckers, ought to be thinking about getting their house treated for bugs.
Sure.
Okay. What about getting these bees and everything that come up behind the shutters? Anything we can do about that?
No, not really. The email that I sent today was about that. It was about stinging insects. There's really not a whole lot that you can buy over the counter that's going to keep them away. We have a program that's designed just for that. That's one of them things that, falls under let a professional do it.
Okay. Well, why don't you give us your website, first of all, and
Sure.
your email, and that way we can get some people added to your email list that may be
Sure.
looking for help.
My website is www.restinpeacebugs.com. And you can do it either or. You can either type out the entire word, Rest in Peace Bugs, or you can go ripbugs.com. And that'll take you to the website. And then you can click my link right there. And feel free to email me with any questions that you may have.
Great. John, thank you very much for joining us here today. This has been a very fast show because, you brought us a lot of information and we appreciate that. I would recommend you contact John or another exterminator if you have any of these problems that we've discussed. And once again, our time is over, and I'd like to thank you for joining us at home in Bethel Park, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm John Bauer, and I'm here to talk about sudden cardiac arrest. Heart disease, including sudden cardiac arrest, is the nation's #1 killer. Sudden cardiac arrest happens when the heart suddenly stops beating. This may be from a heart attack or a number of other causes. Whatever the cause, without immediate action, the sufferer will die. You can take action against sudden cardiac arrest. If you see someone suddenly collapse and it looks like they aren't breathing normally, you need to act immediately. First call 911 or your local emergency number. Then start immediate chest compressions. Place your hands in the middle of the chest and begin to push forcefully and rapidly, at least 100 times a minute. If anyone else is nearby, have them relieve you after 2 minutes. Keep taking turns. If you're in a public place, ask someone to get an AED. When it arrives, open it up and follow the voice instructions. Don't stop chest compressions until the AED tells you to. Keep going until rescuers arrive. Sudden cardiac arrest is survivable if immediate action is taken. You can make a difference. To learn more or to learn CPR, contact Tri-Community South EMS at 412-831-3710. Be a lifesaver. Learn CPR.